For months, as soon as the election finished, this giraffe has been on me to finish the trilogy of this channel. This channel's Lord of the Rings. Those days in primary school that you got sunburnt to maybe chuck a shot put if you felt like it. Yes, school carnival memories. Mr. Mitchell's History, great channel, check it out, has been demanding that I complete the final installment of the most grueling and pointless of the three, Cross Country. Remember that? As soon as I said it, I bet you had a memory of yourself as a 10-year-old with this much sweat on your face. That's right, it's time to relive your skin's version of Wet n Wild, the closest thing you'll ever get to doing that show SAS, the time that you ran for a bit in year 5. No wonder Australia's such a fat country.
I did a bit of exercise. Twice.
Thanks for reminding me, Mr. M, but I must say you specifically reminding me to fulfill this duty was, I've got to say, really bad for my chances of winning this bet that I had with a friend of mine as we were arguing over a game of backgammon. Who of the two of us was a bigger man-child? And then he saw on my laptop a new page with the words primary school cross country, Nurti-Grain choco bars. He then said, dude, you're doing homework in your 30s for a teacher that didn't even go to your school. And then he proceeded to pick up his child from school, and I went down to Coles to see if they still sell Nurti-Grain choco bars. Having said that though, pretty proud of this list, so come on everyone, let's all go relive the most inconsequential day of school, cross country, which should be renamed Sweaty Mufti Day. Hey teachers, you know how you taught us maths and English and didn't ask for any money for it? Well, now it's time for you to do a favour for me. I want you to send into our Facebook Messenger all the stories you have of kids doing dumb shit. It must be comedy gold. There's so many morons in the world. Imagine what they were doing when they were 8. Stop hogging out on us. Let us in on these mountains of gold, which, speaking of, if you're from a country town and they have one of those pages like Lithgow 2270, you know those community pages on Facebook that are just a really interactive, very local current affair. Let us in on that. All the best arguments you've seen on those pages, like,
whoever dogs those are on the road, if I see them again, I'm baiting them. Don't bait dogs, I'll bait you. Oh, what? You'd go to jail just for that, would ya?
Send me the best arguments and posts you've seen on those pages for a new segment I like to call Dear Everyone. Now, let me know if you remember these, and Mr. Mitchell, can you please grade these memories from A+ to F-, just so we all know, but I think that we're going to start with the basics. This is just the spaghetti and garlic bread in an Italian restaurant. You know when you're running past in cross country a group of chicks in oversized jumpers with those large bottles of water, not even trying, just bitching amongst themselves, and you're thinking, pathetic, not even trying. Off. It angers me to this day. I think it's because in their minds they think like, yeah, we're like Daria and Jane, but it was like, no, you're Paddy and Selma. Then you'd hear this every 10 minutes, some kid coming up behind you. Some kid panting like an exhausted dog with his jumper tied around his waist like a rich old woman that lives near docks. I remember it so vividly. You just know what's going on in that kid's head as well. Nothing. He's in another dimension. He's pretty much in that 2001 Space Odyssey scene with all the lights, except for the lights are replaced with... And, like those drums that are supposed to navigate you through the Sahara Desert, there is a fat teacher perched on a Kmart fold-out at every point that might be a bit tricky for an 8-year-old to navigate. Up that way, James. You still got lost a lot of the time? It really shows how much supervision you needed in year 5. It was clearly marked out with witches' cones, and yet you still couldn't crack the code. I only realised why all the fattest teachers volunteered to sit out on all those fold-outs, and it's because it's the easiest job of the day. It's essentially a school strike you paid for cross country. All those unforgiving looks out of those speed dealer sunglasses like a prison warden. Up the stairs, boy. Yeah, that's your track, up you get. Do you remember training for any of this stuff? I remember watching Piccolo on Dragon Ball Z and thinking, oh, if I meditate, I'll be able to teleport too. I actually thought that. If I meditate, I'll be able to teleport. This was my big advantage over all the other kids in cross country, that I'd be able to go to the finish line in literally no time at all. So I was meditating at the field for maybe 2 hours. I was just closing my eyes and sitting down, and you could hear all these kids laughing around me as I thought, yeah, well, I'll show you who'll be laughing when we start running. And then this kid called Glenn, of course he was called Glenn. He looked like one of those little demon kids in Passion of the Christ, one eye bigger than the other, a real freak of nature, should have been aborted, you know, that kind of kid. When I was just sitting there, trying to think of nothing, Glenn throws a rock at my back. And you know how in year 4 you can't commit any act of violence without making that really annoying child jeer of and the teacher saw this cow. You know what she did? This is all she did. She just said this word. Glenn! Just his name. That was all his punishment. To which Glenn said, and that was that. Which, now that I think back to it, you really can't be asking for anything else when you're 9 years old trying to meditate. You really do deserve a rock in your back. Anyway, we started running, which is completely redundant. You know how all year 4 cross country should be determined? You just measure every kid in the state's legs and be like, yeah, B, you've got the longest legs, you win cross country. It's so much quicker and more efficient. Come to think of it, the only thing I think you actually could prep for in cross country was just being sweaty, because that was your entire existence as a child, right? You remember coming home after each day and just being drenched in sweat. No adult can deal with that much sweat. They freak out, except for me, obviously, you know, like I'm different. But most adults don't like being sweaty. Friendly Geordies is a trained professional that only sweats in a controlled environment. Do not try this at home. What? It's hot in here. Anyway, I'm saying that, like, even that level of sweat is nothing for a year 4 kid. They can just walk that out, literally walk that out. They're just playing handball all day, yeah? But even for that level, running around in a paddock at 1 p.m. in an Australian summer, that's too much sweat for a 10-year-old. I remember you could do one of these with your shirt at the end of cross country. Also, while you're running, coming up with little strategies on the fly that were based off of nothing, like, if I run like full pelt to the next fat teacher, and then I walk to the next fat teacher after that, I'll recoup all of my energy thanks to Nurti-Grain Choco Bars, and then I'll be able to sprint to the next teacher after that. But all that had happened is you'd run out of energy really fast as this all-rounder kid that was just good at academics, sports, handsome kid, nice as well, would just run past you while you were exhausted. Doing good, Jordan? Thanks, Timmy. Well, Glenn, I swear to God he did this to me when he passed me. This. Classic Glenn. Then when it got to the very end, I remember thinking, all right, I'm in the top 10. I'm going to make it to district or whatever the next one was. Just running, last 50 meters, and out of nowhere, Glenn comes out. Passed him ages ago, but all of a sudden he's back, right? And so I'm running. We're both sprinting. It's getting to that point where, you know, you can taste blood in the back of your throat. You know when you can feel your throat throbbing? Please say you know that. Just don't tell me I had AIDS, all right? Friendly Geordies is a trained professional who only has AIDS in a controlled environment. Do not try this at home. We're full going at it, right? Tongue out. Completely indifferent teacher just checking their nails at the end. Glenn pulls out, beats me by about a hair. He goes on to the next round. They discover that he's been cheating the entire time. He just finds a little Crash Team Racing secret entrance. He had to be taken back to school in a teacher's car, crying the whole way, and fair enough, because final memory, bonus memory, this has nothing to do with cross country, but do you remember being in a car with a teacher? Talk about the most awkward situation on earth. This godlike authority figure that has gotten you in trouble many times in the past, all of a sudden forced to make small talk with you. You want some chips? I don't have any money. It's fine, Morgan, it's my share. Which somehow made it worse than just not eating the chips. You couldn't refuse to have the chips either. I can't explain the psychology of it. Mr. Mitchell, if you have driven kids home, let me know why that moment's awkward. Like and subscribe, and if you've got any other school memory situations that you want us to deep dive into, I am very happy to do that.
Remember, teachers, send your memories to Facebook.
See you next time.
Please share and comment below. Comment.